We begin with Middle-earth: Shadow of War. Now, both the games are excellent, both of them are very cheap, so I'm considering both of them as a bundle here because combined they're often on sale for very little money. These are AAA games published by Warner Brothers and made by Monolith Productions. First game I think came out in 2014, second one in 2017. And these are both excellent third-person action games. Now, the story is set before the events of the movies or the books, Lord of the Rings books, and you play as a ranger, Thalion. So the story isn't the strongest point of the game, but it's the combat and the Nemesis system. The Nemesis system was something introduced in the first game, which is basically an AI system for the enemies, the orcs in the game. So every time you run into an orc and you fight them, they tend to remember you, and when you come across them again, they specially remember your previous encounter and talk to you about that and things like that. So it was very interesting, and so far they haven't used this system in any other game. I think it's patented by Warner Brothers, and they haven't let anybody else use it. But if you haven't experienced that, you'll definitely enjoy this. Both games are fantastic, AAA quality. They were very expensive at launch. Shadow of War, the gold edition, was $100 at launch. However, now it is incredibly cheap. The full version of the game, the definitive edition, is only $6 on Steam during sales at a 90% sale. And you can also buy the complete bundle of both the games for only $7. And you'll get plenty of content here. I have played the first game twice, and I think I put in like 20-25 hours. The second game, well over 50 hours. And there's a lot of interesting content. There are online fortress missions in the second one, which are excellent because you have to attack other players' fortresses and take out the war chief in there. Very good, and the combos that you use for fighting and things like that, all of them are excellent, making this a fun, engaging action game. So definitely check out the Shadow of War games, even if you're not a Lord of the Rings fan. Next, of course, we have Doom, the reboot from 2016. Overwhelmingly positive on Steam. Everybody loves it, and it's a fantastic game. The thing I liked about this game is when you're used to playing a lot of shooters, you're constantly reloading your weapons and things like that. When I started this, it was a bit weird not to have to reload your guns, but it runs amazingly at the time. I mean, 2016 game, so it will run well for most people now. But even when it first came out, it ran very well on low-end systems. It has the Vulkan engine, which makes getting 200 plus FPS quite easy, even in back then. And yeah, now this game, amazing game, is as low as $4 during sales. So 80% sale, and you'll be able to pick it up for only $4. Amazing game, amazing quality, looks stunning, works well, combat is excellent. I mean, shooting and stuff. Doom is always fun. Next, we have Metro Exodus, which is the final game in the Metro saga. So this game is set in a post-apocalyptic Russian wilderness and a lot of mutated creatures and things. The first two games were set within the subways, the Metro subways, but this time in the third game, your character and the companions basically go above ground to see if there's anybody out there, any survivors, and anybody else there. So this is more of an open world game this time around, but again, very beautiful game. This was one of the first games with the RTX stuff and all of that. It looks stunning graphically as well, and I'm surprised we haven't heard any news of another game in the series, or if this series is done. If it is done, then it was an excellent trilogy. You can also get the whole trilogy very cheap during sales. You can get it for under $10. But I'm going to mention the third game here, which is the latest and the best graphically. So the gold edition on this one is $8. And 600 in India, 7 in the UK. The whole bundle of Metro games, all three games, you can get them for around 9 something, 9.89 usually. So definitely check these out if you like first-person post-apocalyptic survival shooter style games. Next up, we have probably the best FPS campaign in my opinion. This is Titanfall 2. So this is made by Respawn Entertainment, where you and your mech combine to take out enemies. It's set in the future. The game has amazing combat, amazing movement. Movement is the thing that appeals the most. Very futuristic and has a lot of different innovations in the gameplay. It's not a very long campaign, maybe 5 hours if you take your time. but there's a lot of interesting innovative mechanics in the gameplay. Wall running is there, time travel is there. I don't want to give away too much, but there's quite a lot of interesting things here. Multiplayer was also good when it first came out, but Respawn have sort of neglected that in favor of Apex Legends, which is set in the same universe. So I would only recommend this as a single player game, and as a single player game, this is amazing. Still looks pretty good, and you can see overwhelmingly positive reviews on Steam. Once again, this is a game that goes on a big sale during the big sales. In fact, most of the time, to be fair, it is as low as $2.99 during big drops. So normal price is $30, but you can expect a 90% sale. Here in India, it is only 150 rupees, which is amazing as well. Next, I wanted to mention Resident Evil 3 Remake. So I'm a recent, you could say, Resident Evil fan. I got Resident Evil 2 Remake with the graphics card a few years ago. I played it, really enjoyed it. And I wanted to play 3 and 4 as well. I have recently played 4 as well. Really enjoyed that one. 3, I was a bit hesitant because I had heard once again that this was a shorter game. So I waited until the price dropped to a comfortable level and I bought it, and I really loved it. Surprisingly, even though it was on the shorter side, I really enjoyed it. And this is a different style of game compared to the other game in my opinion. This is more sort of frantic and fast paced, and you're constantly running from this monster that's chasing you, and that made it quite interesting. So depending on how you play and the difficulty at which you play this game at, it'll take you between 3 to 4 hours. And once you get the hang of it, these are games that are quite fun, and you can play them multiple times because they have different difficulty settings and they give you different unlocks as well. Resident Evil 4, I finished it 4 times, and even on the hardest professional difficulty, trying to get an S score, an S plus, etc. And that is a lot of fun when you understand and know all the things that's going to happen. So I would highly recommend this game. This game drops to 75% off during sales for $9.99. Next, we have Fallout 4. So with the recent success of the TV show, a lot of people are playing the Fallout games again. And Fallout 4 is the sort of latest single player game, even though it is almost 9 years old now. But having said that, this game has a daily peak of 67,000 currently. And right now there are 56,000 people playing this game, a 9-year-old single player game. Most single player games die off after a few weeks, but this is still going strong and a lot of people are enjoying this game. Bethesda have also done a smart thing in adding some new next-gen updates towards the end of April, I think. So we have some more mods, I believe, and some graphical updates to improve some of the things in the game, which is excellent news. And of course, if you like the show, if you like the setting, the post-apocalyptic sort of futuristic 50s sort of feel, then you love this game. One of the things that I liked about these games is the open world somehow feels a little different to the other games. Something I noticed the other day was within the Fallout universe, they have their own sort of, you could say, media, if that makes sense. So you have comics, you have stories, you have radio stations. I noticed a lot of the other games don't tend to have that. You don't have like comic books or lore or TV shows or in-game, in-universe sort of things. Let me know if you know of other games that do that, but I don't recall another game having things like Grognak the Barbarian or Sugar Bombs or things like that, or at least not as much. So I found that to be interesting. Maybe that is one of the reasons why the open world is more enjoyable here or more believable, even though there is a lot of jankiness with these Fallout games or Bethesda games in general. But there is a charm in these games that appeals to all of us. And I have played and finished this game twice, completion. So yeah, whatever it is, it tends to hook us. Now, the good thing is this game is frequently on sale, and now it is very cheap as well. So during sales, I would recommend you get the Game of the Year edition, which drops to below $10. So $9.99 is the price for the Game of the Year edition on sale at a 75% discount. So make sure to pick it up when you see a 75% sale. Now next up, we have Far Cry 3. Now, despite my recent dislike for Ubisoft and their practices, I can't deny that the early Far Cry games were fantastic, and probably the best is Far Cry 3. So you have a lush tropical island open world here, lots of activities. You can hunt animals, take out enemies, clear the enemy bases, climb towers to reveal the map. Everything felt very enjoyable and fun to do. And if you haven't played this game, I think this is an excellent game to play, even though it's a little old now, because they use the sort of cel-shaded art style that I feel like holds up better even now. So this game came out in 2012, so a 12-year-old game. But yeah, I would happily play it again. In fact, every time I mention this game, I'm tempted to try and play. I have done that a few times. So this is on sale right now, and at a 75% discount, it is only $5, $4.99, $250 in India, $4.24 in the UK, $6.49 in Canada. So even if you don't focus too much on the side stuff and just focus on the main story, you should still get comfortably around 15-20 hours of good gameplay. Next, we have No Kuni II, Remnant Kingdom. So I thought I'll mention a JRPG, and I'm not somebody who plays a lot of JRPGs, but I'm familiar with the No Kuni series because I had a PlayStation 3 and I had the first No Kuni game, which was considered one of the best PlayStation exclusives at the time. Of course, it has been ported to PC now. And the second one is maybe even more fun because one of the differences between the first and second is the second one has real-time combat. The first one had the old turn-based stuff. It looks very good. It looks like a nice JRPG sort of cartoon basically, and it's developed by Level 5, published by Bandai Namco, and the pricing is also reasonable here because a lot of Japanese games tend to be expensive, but this one here during sales is 84% off, $959, $687 in India, $799 in the UK, $1279 in Canada, and $959 in the Eurozone. It is on sale right now. Now, a surprisingly good game that sort of went unnoticed is the remake of the first Mafia game, Mafia Definitive Edition. So the Mafia game, the first one from the early 2000s, I think 2002 or 3, that was one of my favorite open world games. I liked it more than GTA games from back then, and I played it religiously. I mean, every 2-3 years I would play the whole thing and finish the campaign. And this game got a remake in 2020, and it is a surprisingly good game. Initially, there were some performance issues, so that's why a lot of people may have skipped it. But now it's fine, it works well, it looks very good. And of course, you have the period cars and stuff that make it even more enjoyable. It's been out for a few years, and now it is very cheap as well. So, very positive rating on Steam, 86% positive. And during sales, you can get this for $10, $9.99, 75%. In India, the price drops down to $5.49. Which is excellent for an open world game set in the 1930s. And then finally, we have Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. So another game made by Respawn and Electronic Arts, and another game that is surprisingly successful. The sequel doesn't seem to be that popular compared to this one. This one I've seen universal praise, and it has an 87, almost 88% positive rating on Steam. The combat, I believe, is a bit more Souls-like third-person game. I haven't played this myself because I'm not a fan of Star Wars stuff, but yeah, everybody else who is enjoys this game, and it also goes on a big sale during whenever they have it on sale basically. So the lowest this has gone is $3.99 on Steam, so 90% off. So wait for a big sale. It's frequently available on a discounted price, and you'll get a good quality AAA game for almost nothing. Now, before I go, I quickly wanted to mention GOG. So GOG is also another site that sells games. And the key difference here is on GOG, the games are all DRM free. You also own your games, unlike Steam and other places where you just have a license. You actually own the games here. You also do not need a launcher, or you don't need to be connected online to play your games. So if the price of the games are similar to what you normally pay on Steam, I would recommend you check out GOG, because as you've seen recently with something like The Crew 2 being removed from your libraries, I have over the last few years started collecting games on GOG, especially games that I really like. And even though for me the regional price is a bit higher here compared to Steam because they don't use regional pricing, but if you live in the US or the UK and you pay similar amounts to what you pay on Steam, then I see no reason why you shouldn't consider GOG. So for example, let's say this game here, Vampire, you'll see it says here DRM free, safety and satisfaction, stellar support 24/7, full refunds up to 30 days. It also gives you some basic information about the games. And so yeah, you basically own your games here. You can download the launchers offline. Basically, you get the game installers and you can run the game from there. You don't need the launcher, you don't need to be connected online, and you get a lot of benefits and you actually own your games. This is the closest thing to having physical media, I guess. So yeah, just wanted to mention this. A lot of the games that I've mentioned here are on GOG. I'll put the links below to the ones that are available, and you can pick them up here as well.